Hi, ladies. It's Miss Nugent. I am not there this afternoon because I had to take care of something with Mason, but I wanted to make sure that I went over the directions for this next assignment with you and gave you some feedback on your analytical writing before you use the time during class to get some of your writing done today. So, a couple of things that I wanted to go over. Make sure that you get out your copy of A Jury of Her Peers. You need your literary term notes from way back in the beginning of the year. If you recall, I think the handout starts with it says, "What is close reading?" There's a lightning bolt on the front. You should have those in your binder. And then you're also going to need your laptop. Obviously, you have that out already because you're listening to me. I'm going to talk about a couple of things in relation to the honors and AP applications that are coming up. Sorry, I blanked on the word application. And then we'll get into talking about the passage analysis logs, and you will have an opportunity to work on your passage analysis logs in class. Um, You'll note that for homework, you need to finish your passage analysis log entries for A Jury of Her Peers. You're going to submit on Blackboard by Tuesday at 9 a.m. and you're also going to bring a hard copy to class. So you need to make sure that those are submitted online and as well as bringing a hard copy to class. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about advanced English options for juniors. So you have some choices next year. You can always stay in a regular level course, which you're in now, and there's nothing wrong with that. The focus for all junior level English classes is American literature. So you'll see that even in honors and AP, they both have that focus on American literature, and the regular level does as well. But if you are interested in honors or AP, this kind of gives you an idea of the difference between the two courses. So honors is going to be more of about close literary analysis and reading, similar to what we're doing now in class, but on an even higher level. And you're going to be asked to write, various essays and things on the literature that you're reading. The thematic focus for the honors class is cultural hybridity, which you see right here. And it talks about, this idea that America is, or being American is this hybrid state of multiple cultures that are combined to create this idea of what it means to be American. Whereas AP is a little bit different. So AP is going to be a focus on style analysis. So you're really going to be focusing more on the role of the writer and the writer's craft and how the writer uses craft in order to convey his or her message. So it's really looking more at the use of language and rhetoric and things in order to communicate a message. So again, if you look here, it talks about style analysis is more of the focus. It is a college level class. Time management is a must. And ultimately, the goal is to be taking the AP exam and earning possible college credit. And this gives you an idea of the texts that both of the courses cover. And if this is something that you're interested in, the criteria to apply for honors or for AP are that you have a 90 average or above um, in your current English class. You also need a teacher recommendation, so you can come and talk to me about that. And you need to provide a sample of an in-class essay and a sample of an out-of-class essay. And I can also help you gather those things and put your application together. So if you have any questions about that, let me know and we can talk about it. The application becomes available on January 12th, and it is due on January 19th. So I just wanted to, start having you start thinking about whether or not honors or AP is something that you want to do. And if so, you can talk to your parents about it and be prepared when that application does come out on Blackboard on January 12th. Okay, so moving into the passage analysis logs, okay? So this is going to be not this particular passage analysis log that you're doing right now, but a passage analysis log is going to be what you are going to ultimately turn in for your out of class essay grade this quarter. So this is your first opportunity to practice analytical writing with the passage analysis log over a jury of your peers. And really, what a passage analysis log is an opportunity to demonstrate close reading and thoughtful analysis of self selected passages. So, you are going into a story and you're choosing two key passages from that story. So, in this case, a jury of her peers. And then you are going to analyze those passages very much like what you were asked to do in groups last, or not last time, but the time before with silk stockings. So, for a jury of our peers, you are going to choose two key passages, and those passages should be lengthy enough to lend themselves to thorough analysis. So, it's really hard to give you a concrete length, like to say, oh, it needs to be a minimum of 2 paragraphs or whatever, because in the structures of short stories, um, paragraph length varies. Sometimes sections of dialogue are more relevant. So I didn't want to limit you and say, give you some kind of concrete length requirement. So I want you to use the passages that I pulled from a pair of silk stockings in that initial close reading packet that you got. Use those passages as a model, because you know how in a short story some passages might be short, but there's quite a bit to analyze, or you might need a much more substantial section to analyze because there's less going on or whatever. So I really want you to think of it as you need some sort of substantial section in the story that is going to lend itself to analysis. And then when you're writing your analysis, again, I'm hesitant to give you a length because really you need to focus on being thorough, cohesive, and insightful. And actually on Blackboard, I've provided a student sample of analysis that's being done with hills like white elephants. And I would like you to look at that sample as a model for what I'm asking you to do, and we'll look at that together. So if you go to Blackboard, actually, and I'm going to pull Blackboard up here. If you go to Blackboard and you're on Blackboard, okay. So let me resize this really quick. Um, so if you're on Blackboard here, if you go to assignments, you'll see that I've posted the passage analysis logs, and you'll see that you have a template or a blank document for a jury of your peers. You have a close reading analysis log student example, and then you have the passage analysis log slides that I'm actually going over with you right now. So you can look at those uh, after you've watched this video. So if you open up the student example, I would like you to look at that right now. Um, so So here's the passage that the student selected, which is actually the first paragraph of Hills Like White Elephants. And then here is the analysis. And so let's take a look at the analysis. I want to read through it with you and talk a little bit about what I'm seeing and what I want to see in your own analysis. So the student starts off by saying, in a short story composed almost exclusively of dialogue, this opening paragraph of narration plays a significant role in establishing the setting's mood. So the student right off the bat addresses the fact that the purpose of this particular paragraph from the story is setting the mood. Okay. And she's going to elaborate on that by discussing how Hemingway establishes that mood. Okay. So again, right off the bat identifying the why and then following up with the how and explaining how the devices support the why. So Hemingway uses noticeably simple language. For instance, the first two sentences, which have a total of 34 words, contain only four with two syllables, the rest being monosyllabic. Moreover, the whole paragraph contains only two words with more than two syllables, American and Barcelona, proper nouns without shorter substitutes. By deliberately selecting simple, unpretentious language, Hemingway creates a straightforward tone, almost childlike in its rhythm and objectivity. So, her first point in analysis is that the diction, and notice that she's talking about words and the effect that those words have on the tone and the mood. Okay. Then she goes on to say the content of the sentences reinforces this impression of a detached narrator, merely recording the scene with as much accuracy as possible. In the context of the story as a whole, the last sentence, it stopped at this junction for 2 minutes and went on to Madrid, hardly seems relevant. Yet by including this information, Hemingway highlights the precision of his exposition. That being said, precision does not equate to an overflow of detail. The paragraph's imagery is specific but not extravagant, as Hemingway uses no similes, metaphors, or other figurative language. This choice aligns with the stark scene he depicts, one defined by extremes, no shade, no trees, very hot, and recurring reference to the temperature with the rails in the sun and the warm shadow. Through his emphasis on the heat, Hemingway creates an uncomfortable mood even before the characters start talking. So she discusses um, the details in this particular passage and how they contribute to mood, and then also mentions that the lack of figurative language and imagery, or sorry, the lack of figurative language um, is really telling as well. So sometimes it's not a matter of identifying examples of imagery or figurative language. It's looking and seeing that why did the writer make the particular choice not to use those things. And so that's something interesting to think about um, when you're writing analysis. And depending on who the writer is, that is going to relate to them depending on who they are. And then finally, the narrator's introduction of the main character's subtlety establishes the main man's seniority. He is the American, an epitaph which grants him significance. By contrast, the woman is simply the girl. In fact, she is the girl with him. Attaching his short prepositional phrase defines the woman in terms of the man, almost denying her significance on her own. So I want you to use this as the model for your own analysis of a jury of her peers. So whenever you feel like I don't know what else to say, or I don't know how to say it, or I don't know what she's expecting, or I don't know what she's looking for, this is your model. Okay, this is your go-to. So I'm asking you again to identify the why. Why is this passage significant? Why did you choose this passage in the first place? And then show me how the writer achieves that why through the devices and the tools that she or he uses. Okay. So a little bit of a hint about A Jury of Her Peers. We talked about how Susan Glaspell really focuses on developing rich, dynamic characters. So a lot of those key passages are going to be about characterization and really looking at how she develops those characters. What does she do? What kind of language does she use? Details does she include or not include? That you can make inferences to. So that is going to be something that you're going to see quite a bit in her writing. Um, okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint really quickly because this is something that I wanted to go over with you and was why I wanted you to get out your literary terms handout, which you actually just saw a glimpse of if I show this to you again. So this is the handout that you're looking for. It says how, and then it talks about the big five literary devices. So in here, I basically go through like all of the things that fall under each literary device. So like diction can be broken down to all of these things. Details can be broken down in this way. Imagery is usually developed through figurative language. So any of these fall under that image, that figurative language umbrella. And then symbolism and things, not symbolism, sorry, syntax. This is about structure and talking about point of view, tone, mood, theme, whatever. So this is your resource. This is your go-to when you're using these devices. Because one of the things that I noticed in your paragraphs that you wrote as a group